Black people, Miami is not really for you. So let me tell you something. If you are a black person and you are thinking about moving to Miami or living in Miami or spending any amount of real time here, you need to have a very strong sense of yourself. You need to know exactly who you are. You need to know exactly what the coins are. You need to be prepared to be faced with some of the most outrageous casual racism that you will ever see. It is not the same as it is in DC, LA, New York, etc., where you're dealing with a population that's used to seeing a lot of black people, from upscale black people to ratchets to middle class. They're used to seeing it all. So in Miami, if you're going to, like, let's say a hot spot, if you're going to like a Milo or a Poppy Steak or whatever, you will get clocks from head to toe. They're looking at your watch, they're looking at your shoes, they're looking at your belt, because they cannot comprehend how you would be here. There's no comprehension in Miami in terms of the local scene of black people with real coins, with real money, because they don't see it here. So if you're a black person and you come here and you don't know exactly who you are, then you're going to start seeing things every single day that are going to cause you to start questioning yourself, questioning who you are in the world, questioning your level of attractiveness, all of that stuff. Now, that being said, I think that Miami can be a wonderful place for a lot of people, no matter what your color is. But I really do think that it is a place that is very specific, that is very much not into black people. They will let you know in ways large and small when you are here. So if you're a black person and you're thinking about coming to Miami, just be very clear about the things that you're going to see and the things that you're going to experience. And you cannot let that bother you. You have to be able to shrug it off, because you will see things that you do not see in these other cities.
Wildest thought, what would happen to Hispanics when segregation comes and now it's between black and white? You know what's gonna happen? They're gonna be categorized as black. Cause ain't nowhere in this generation of Donald J. Trump, Hispanics and Latinos are going to be considered white. Cause if they were considered white, he would not be kicking them out already. Mance has spent billions of dollars trying to make sure he removes Hispanics, Latinos, and here they are doing the most towards black people, which leads me to a question. Segregation comes. Do you think white people, Hispanic people, if you're here, do you think white people are gonna take you as their own? You want to be that delusional? Man, I wish segregation happens, because I want to see them people that have been distancing themselves from the blacks or trying to act white. When segregation comes, I really want to see where they're going to fall. I'm pretty much sure Hispanics are going to have to go and bleach a little bit more to look white, if they want to fit into the white. So I'm finding it disturbing that the people that are being racist towards black people are the same people that Donald J. Trump is trying to kick out of America. Which really doesn't make sense to me, that if the president of the country wants you so badly out of the country than the people that you're being racist towards, then what are you doing?
For years, I've been saying that Miami is by far the worst city for black women in America. Specifically, if you're darker than a paper bag.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. My name is Naskuna. So if you're new here, hi, welcome. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, like, comment, and share. Let me know what you think in the comment section about the racism towards black people in Miami. Literally, I just woke up. I feel like on the wrong side of the bed, where every black person is just literally telling their tales of how it feels like to be in a space that is full of Hispanics and Latinos. No, because let's be honest, the Hispanic community, whether they like it or not, they found the blacks there for generations. So to find the black people in their own country, they cannot be free to move around in Florida. Just because, yeah, Hispanics are there. It's kind of like their community now. It's their state. Miami is their town. They feel like, yeah, you're gonna have to be one of us to stay here. You're too dark-skinned. No. Which actually, I should do a video about the negritos, because I saw a video where one Hispanic guy said that he feels bad because he's darker skinned, that his own people discriminate him. And I was like, wait, what?
I've been seeing quite a few videos circulating about racism in Miami, and I feel like everybody is talking about, racism going to certain restaurants, to certain clubs, that sort of thing, like entertainment wise, but nobody talks about the racism in Miami as far as working in Miami. Okay, I told this story like 3 years ago on TikTok when it happened, but I didn't have the platform that I had now. But let me tell y'all about my experience working in Miami and the racism that I experienced. I only lasted 2 days at this job. 2 days. So it's 2021. I got a job at the cosmetic company store, which is a store owned by Estee Lauder. They basically sell all Estee Lauder brands. So like Bobbi Brown, Smashbox, MAC, Too Faced, Clinique, Tom Ford. Basically any stuff that didn't sell like in the department stores at their actual stands or limited edition stuff, they would sell it at the cosmetic company store as a discount. At a discount. So they're opening a new store in Dolphin Mall. And if you know anything about South Florida, Miami, Dolphin Mall is an area that is pretty much Hispanic territory. Almost everybody in that area is going to be Hispanic. So I get this job. The first day, we're literally just setting up the store, okay? So we really didn't interact. We're just putting everything on the shelves. Now, my second day, because I was in school at the time, so I could only work certain hours, so I didn't get the whole full thing. So my second day is actually the grand opening of the store, and I'm working as a closer. So I get there and I'm kind of shadowing the manager because I really don't know what to do because I couldn't come in the daytime to train. So they told me, oh, the store is 30% off today. So the manager, she's a Cuban lady. She is bringing somebody out and she does not apply the discount. Mind you, this person is black. So I'm like, hey, the discount is 30% off. You have to apply it. And she kind of like shooed me off or whatever. She just ignored me. And so after the people left, I'm like, oh, is the discount only if they spend a certain amount? Because this lady had literally only bought one thing. And she goes, oh, no, I just forgot to apply the discount. Mind you, I told the lady. And I was like, noted. Second thing, at this store, to prevent resellers, you are not allowed to spend more than $1,000. They were letting people come in, resellers, and just do multiple transactions. All of these people are Hispanic. This Asian lady comes in basically trying to do the same thing. They tell her, no, it's only one transaction per person. You can't just switch your card or do different transactions. So the lady comes back with her daughter. The daughter comes in and tries to make the purchase, and they're like, oh, she doesn't look like she's old enough. You have to be at least 16 to make a purchase here. Be so serious. That is not the rule. Like, y'all are making up stuff. So whatever the case, after some back and forth, they ended up bringing up the lady. And then the Hispanic lady, as soon as she leaves, she looks at me, a different one from the first lady, and she goes, did you see that Chinese lady come in here and try to buy everything up? And I'm just like, yeah, just like everybody else did. The hell? Now, the final straw was when they tried to accuse me of stealing. That's when I knew, okay, this is some racism. Now, if you're from Miami, you probably know this is how the Hispanics there are, but I'm not from Miami. I'm from Jacksonville, so Jacksonville is country, child. But anyways, so a black couple comes in. Nobody goes over to help them. I'm preoccupied. Nobody goes over to help them. Eventually, I get done, and I go over to help this couple. So I'm helping the wife. I help her pick out foundation, concealer, blush. I get her the whole shebang, right? They check out, and then her husband comes back, and he was like, thank you so much. He did it in front of everybody because he peeped the same thing I peeped, and he gave me a tip, y'all. So he gave me a tip. At the end of the day, we're counting down the drawer. Well, the other lady's counting down the drawer, and she looks at me, and she says, the drawer is short. How much did that man give you earlier? Didn't that man give you some cash that you put in your pocket? No, you didn't, lady. Like, no, you freaking didn't. So I said, let me count the drawer. I count the drawer. Not only is it not short, it's actually over. It's over. And she was like, oh, I must have just miscounted. No, ma'am, you didn't miscount. You're racist. You're freaking racist. You was going to probably pocket the extra money, right? So I ended up calling HR the next day, and I was like, listen, I can't work for no company like that. I cannot work in this type of environment. I went to the store the next day during my shift. I went, put my key in an envelope, and I left a note that said, this ain't gonna work. Okay, they was calling me, texting me, all this extra stuff. I called HR or whatever, and the HR people, I don't know what they did because I quit. But they were like, that's unacceptable. Like, it got escalated to somebody else, and that person called me, and they're like, we're going to try to find another store for you to work at under Estee Lauder, blah, blah, blah. They ain't never do that. But Miami is, if you're not in the right parts, I've learned the areas that I need to stay in, because if you get too far in Latinos for Trump, very much racist.
Let me just use this language of colonization. You know, when they come to an area or a country and then they colonize and then everything looks like it's theirs and they want to make sure everything is theirs and that they treat the people that they found there that it's theirs. I expect this treatment from, but people of color, it's weird because it's giving, are you? No, because you're not. Because if you were, DJ Trump would not want you out of his country so bad. Okay? Yeah. With words that they are eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, I'm gonna pull up the border. That would be the least you would be the least person I would expect to be racist to the people of the country. And you know what, guys? I really, man, this is so stupid. It's 2025. I don't know. Probably Hispanics would be happy when segregation comes. Yeah, like for real. When it's out there on global news that it's happening now, I feel like Hispanics will be so happy. And you know what's funny? When segregation happens, what's gonna happen to the other people of color? Because black people, they know where they stand. So when segregation happens and Hispanics are being racist towards black people, where are they gonna go? In their own towns? Or they're gonna make sure that actually they chase out black people from Miami or Florida entirely so that they can keep the state to themselves? I don't think that's gonna happen. So what's gonna happen to them? You guys tell me what you think in the comment section. I find this very funny and laughable because it doesn't make sense. It's giving self-hate.
Disclaimer, I'm not from Florida. I do not live in Florida, but my cousin and some of her friends that we had went to Vendome with are from Florida, and they never experienced any type of problems when they have went to Vendome, so that's why we went there in the first place. So we go to Vendome and we get on the line because we know, my cousin knew a promoter and he wanted to get us in. He got us inside. So as we're like in the line and handing our IDs over, they let my cousin and her friends in, but like once it was my turn to give my ID, they didn't even look at my ID. They were just like, stop, give me 1 second, and just move to the right for me. And I'm like, okay, why? Like they didn't even look at my ID yet. They were just like, oh, can you step to the side for me for a second? And I'm like, okay. So they're like looking back at me and they're like confused and they're like, what's the problem? And they're pointing towards me and the promoter's like kind of telling them like, you need to get inside, like just move inside and then I'll go get her. Because they were like telling my friends and my cousins like, oh, like if you don't go in and sit down, you can't come back in because Summer Walker was performing that night. And I guess they were like being a little hard on entry and re-entry and whatever the case may be. So they were just like, you need to like just sit down and I'm gonna go back outside and get her and I'm gonna figure out what the problem is. So they're like, okay. And he's kind of being like a little harsh, like, oh, you need to sit down, like you're not coming back in if you do not sit down. I will go get her. I'm gonna handle it. So they're just like, okay. So he doesn't come outside to get me. So I'm just standing there for like good 5 minutes, whatever, like looking around, looking for the guy. I do not see him. And my cousins are on the phone, my cousin and my friends are on the phone calling me like, where are you? Like, is he outside? Because we don't see him in here. And he said he's coming to get you. And I'm like, no, he's not. So they get frustrated. I'm frustrated. So they're just like, we're leaving. Never mind. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's fine. So as they're leaving, they're asking people, like some of the workers inside and like in the little area, like where they're checking for the IDs and stuff, like what was the problem? And they literally, well, honestly, a lot of people were just trying to like ignore the question and just be like, keep walking out. Like if you're leaving, leave, you know what I'm saying? And they're trying to ask people like, what's the problem though? Like, why is nobody saying nothing? Because they're not telling me nothing either on that little line that I was on. Like, they were just kind of like, I'm like asking them like, okay, so like, is anybody gonna tell me why y'all pull me to the side? And everybody's just looking at me like I'm boo-boo the fool. And they're just like either ignoring me or they're just not answering the question. So I'm getting mad too. So eventually one person that my cousin asked like what the problem was finally told her that the reason why I couldn't get inside was because I was too dark and that they want a certain type of people in the club today and that the owner was being very strict about who they let in and who they don't let in. So you have to meet that certain standard to get inside. And it's crazy because I noticed that I wasn't the only one that got like rejected to go inside. Like they also weren't letting anybody of like a certain body type inside. Like they only wanted people that looked like, I guess, on the skinnier side, the more slim side, or like if you had that like Coca-Cola shape vibe going on, they let you in. But if you were just the slightest bit of not on that standard that they wanted inside, you were not getting inside. They were just sending all those people that didn't meet that standard to the right, but they weren't saying anything. They were trying to make it seem kind of like, oh, we're gonna let this side get an entry in a second. You know what I'm saying? Like they were making it seem like you was about to get inside, like there was just a little hold up, but they weren't actually letting you inside, and they weren't telling us what the problem was either. So yeah, we left after that, obviously, because why would I want to get back inside, or why would I even want the promoter to try and get me back inside when you already was ducking me and saying that I couldn't go inside in the first place? Why would I want to go inside there?
If you're a Black person and you're considering visiting or living in Miami and you don't really understand how this city works, let me break it down for you. I've lived in Miami pretty much my entire life. This is just the lay of the land. Number one, if you're going out, you're going to find Black people in pockets, in certain clubs, certain restaurants, certain spaces. And depending on the community you're in, you'll find them there. For example, if you go to a Victory Lounge, you're looking for, you know, Black people, you want to eat, you want to have a lounge experience. If you go to Jamaican parties, you're going to find Jamaican people. It's not a city where Black people are everywhere. If you're trying to go out and you're trying to find other people, you're going to have to look up Miami Black blank if that's the type of music you're going to go to, or the type of vibe or experience you're trying to have. Miami is predominantly Hispanic, and they run things. That's just the lay of the land, just what it is. Most of the time, if you just go out to a club on a random day, you're going to find Hispanic people. You're going to listen to Hispanic music. You're going to be in areas, especially affluent areas, it's going to be predominantly Hispanic. Now, there are a lot of tourists that come in and out of the city, but regardless, that's just what it is. With that being said, you can find all different types of food. You may have to drive a little bit, depending on, you know, if you're looking for Haitian food or Jamaican food or Nigerian food, you can find it, but you're going to have to look for it. It's not in every corner. Now, if you want Cuban food or Hispanic food or pollo tropical or something, that's everywhere. You can find that everywhere. I always say Miami is not a melting pot, it's a tossed salad. So there's a lot of different cultures here. They're not mixing, but you can find everywhere. Now, is Miami racist? It can be, depending on where you are, what you're doing. I've had instances where I'll go eat with a group of my friends and the waiter or waitress is treating us strange at an establishment I've been to prior. So a lot of times it depends on who you're dealing with. But racism is everywhere, and just because it's not predominantly white people here does not mean that other groups of people do not have discriminatory ideologies towards us. I've been in instances where, you know, I'm with a promoter and we're going to a club and all of a sudden they're turning us away because there's too many Black people in our crew. Like, there are these instances, they're not common, but they do exist, which is why a lot of Black people, when they go out, they just go out to areas where they know people are going to be like them. They don't want to deal with it. They don't have to deal with it. It's just what it is. All in all, I think Miami has, you know, if you're looking for weather preferences, if you like the beach, if you like to shop, if you like to turn up, this is the city for you. If you're looking for something a little bit more artistic, just come for Art Basel and leave. This is not the place to find a jazz spot or a poetry lounge or people who are in that scene. This is not a fashion capital, it's a swimwear capital. This is a place where you're gonna see BBLs left, right, and center. This is a place where, you know, people are beautiful, but they may be entitled, but they may lack substance. They may be not people that will go the long way with you. There are exceptions to the rule, like myself, who has grown up in Miami, so I wouldn't say I'm a product of Miami, But in general, finding people with depth here is going to be difficult.